What's going on, everyone? We are back talking about another Android phone a lot of you have been requesting us to get our hands on. We finally did, thanks to Lazada Singapore. We're here with the OnePlus 7 Pro. A lot of reviewers have loved this Android phone. It's been their favorite for pretty much the majority of 2019. So we got it in the studios. I've had it in my hands for a couple of weeks, run it through its paces. Let's talk about it. Before we begin, I do want to thank Lazada Singapore for providing the phone for us. Now, we're not paid by them in any way, shape, or form, or by OnePlus. These are our thoughts and our thoughts only. But Lazada is a premium partner for OnePlus in Singapore, and thus they were able to get the phone to us. So if you are interested, you are in the Singapore region, or if you're in the Southeast Asian region, check out Lazada for the OnePlus 7 Pro. Okay, let's get down to the phone and the specs. First off, let's talk about the design. It looks like a lot of Android phones out there. If this reminds you of the Galaxy S9 or S10, yeah, it looks like a lot of those phones. It's got that sort of waterfall display, kind of curves down on the sides here. It's got that, slim bezel. I believe it's aluminum or some sort of metal alloy there. It's a really easy phone to hold. They nailed the size perfectly for my hands, at least. I have slightly larger hands, but great screen real estate on it. No issues at all with it. Let's talk about the specs. Snapdragon 855, 12 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of storage. You've got 3 cameras in this bad boy, 48, 16, and 8. And you've got a 6.67-inch AMOLED display, up to 90 hertz refresh rate. A lot of people have been talking about this display, and I will tell you, it is beautiful to use, and it's not overly saturated. It's pretty color accurate. No issues at all if you're editing photos or looking at videos or watching movies. You're not gonna have any issues at all with this display. And of course, the 90 hertz, you know what that means? Gaming is a lot more fun on this phone. And it's running OxygenOS on it, so this is almost stock Android. It's got a little bit of some changes to it, but it has a very basic Android feel to it, which I enjoy. And that's what I think a lot of reviewers out there have really enjoyed about the OnePlus series, is that they don't try to reinvent the wheel. They just try to make things a lot more simpler. And this phone delivers. It's really, really that good. Battery life is 4,000 milliamp battery on this bad boy. That means all day usage, no issues at all. If you want to go 2 days, depending on how your usage is, but I can tell you solid 1 day usage, no problems at all. Quick charging inside the box, no wireless charging. The one thing that could make this one of the best, it is one of the best Android phones of 2019, but in the top 3, in my personal opinion, they had wireless charging. Not a deal breaker, but I wish they had it because this phone has pretty much everything else to it. So talking about cameras for a moment, we have the front-facing 16 megapixel selfie camera that pops up, as you can tell right there. And it looks pretty good, not bad at all. In terms of cameras, this has a 48, 16, and 8, as I mentioned. It has wide angle, standard zoom, telephoto, all those things that everybody wants. These are not the fastest cameras on the market, but they do take pretty impressive photos. Is it the best of Android? Hard to say. I think Google Pixel's got that crown, but it's up there. You're not gonna have any issues with these pictures at all, sharing them with your friends or family or putting them up on social media. They look really good. What else? Daily usage. No stutters, no hiccups, 12 gigabytes of RAM. What's gonna stutter on this thing? Nothing. It's a solid Android device. And at the price point, I would say, comparatively to some other flagships out there with bigger names, you're paying for that name, folks, I'll be honest with you, because this phone delivers at a much less expensive price. Now, OnePlus obviously did go more expensive with this phone than they have with previous other phones because they are trying to go to that more premium market, but you can't go wrong with it. Now, in terms of durability on this one, I do want to talk a little bit about that. Now, on the back, you've got this matte, sort of frosted feel to it. It still shows fingerprints pretty easily. The front glass, though, I don't know. I think it's Gorilla Glass 6 or 5. I'm not too sure what it is. We'll put it right here. What that exact spec is, but there are some fine scratches that do show up on the display from daily usage, so I would recommend getting a screen protector immediately for this device. I find this with a lot of this Gorilla Glass stuff. I'm not sure what's going on with Gorilla Glass these days. They talk about how durable it is, but after you put it in your pocket for a couple of weeks, you see these fine scratches, and I'm not putting keys or coins in my pocket, so if it's the buttons on my jeans that are scratching the phone, maybe Gorilla Glass needs to toughen up the glass a little bit. But anyway, I do want to point that out. Not a deal breaker by any stretch of the imagination, but something you should keep note of, that the glass does show up with some fine scratches. The one thing about OnePlus is that there's no physical store in Singapore or in many countries out there, so you are reliant on, let's say, someone like Lazada. Now, they are the official store, so they are not a reseller, But if you have any problems with the phone, you have to contact Lazada. So it's a little different than, let's say, going to Samsung or Huawei, where you would go into the physical store, or even Apple for that matter, just for comparison's sake, where you can actually get the phone repaired. You have to contact Lazada, either ship it there or they'll do a drop delivery. However they'll handle it, they will take care of you, but it's something to take note of with the OnePlus series phones. Anyway, that should not be deterred because the phone is a solid device. I can see why a lot of people like this phone. And I can't wait to see what they come up with the new one. I think the OnePlus 7T, OnePlus 7 Pro T or whatever it's called. That one looks pretty wicked. I saw the pictures. Hopefully they put wireless charging in there. I know they've been adamant against it, but OnePlus, I think it's time. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the OnePlus 7 Pro. It's definitely one of the best Android phones of the year. And I think you will not be disappointed and it will last you a couple years, especially with the specs that are inside of it. With that, let me know your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. Until the next one, take care.